There must be a mistake somewhere. He doesn't look anything like me. Maybe he's not even my son. James remarked openly, clearly favoring his good-looking and intelligent son over his daughter Lisa. He suggested that our daughter should get a job as soon as she finishes middle school and get rid of the things we bought for her high school entrance. I couldn't take it anymore. I packed up and left, taking both kids with me. My name is Linda, an average 35-year-old stay-at-home mom. I used to live with my husband, son, and daughter. My son, Charles, has always been handsome. Mistaken for a girl when he was a kid, friends would say, "You should get Charles into acting or modeling." He's incredibly smart, gentle, and mature. By age 3, he conversed like an adult. On the other hand, my younger daughter, Lisa, is the cutest girl in the world from my perspective as a parent. However, her appearance differs from the conventional pretty girl. She's a bit plump with curly hair and a round face, not athletic and slow to speak. To me, she's the most adorable girl in the world. James clearly favors Charles. When he gets home, he only pays attention to him. If Lisa tries to join in, James dismisses her, saying she's creepy and trying too hard. Charles tries to include her, suggesting, "Let's all play together." But James discourages it, warning, "Don't play with Lisa, you'll catch her stupidity." Charles sits uncomfortably, understanding the situation. Even my mother-in-law, Sandra, dotes on Charles and mistreats Lisa. James's family owns a store, and James is expected to take over. This obligation leads us to visit my in-laws weekly. Every time we go, Sandra gripes and remarks, "Oh, you brought Linda and Lisa again. You could have just brought James and Charles." She treats me like a maid over the phone if we don't attend. I don't enjoy visiting my in-laws, but James insists. I help with chores on this day. Jacan decides to take Charles and Lisa to a large local park. Lisa is thrilled to spend time with her grandma. I had an uneasy feeling, but tied up with chores as usual, I reluctantly waved them off. By evening, Jacan returned home, carrying a tired Charles on her back. "Oh, he's getting heavy. Charles is growing up," she cheerfully commented, but there was no sign of Lisa. "Jacan, where's Lisa?" I asked, my unease growing. With no hint of guilt, Jacan replied, "I don't know. Both were looking tired, but I can't carry both, so I told Lisa to walk back on her own." I couldn't believe what I just heard. A chill ran down my spine. I bolted out of the front door and sprinted towards the park, rolling over myself in a panic. Who would leave such a small child alone? I prayed she was all right as I burst into the park. "Mom!" The moment I heard that cry, Lisa leaped into my arms. I felt the tension drain out of me. A police officer was standing nearby. "You're her mom, right?" he asked. The park staff found her crying alone and called us. "You shouldn't leave such a small child unattended." The officer admonished me, but then patted Lisa on the head, saying, "It's good your mom came for you." I bowed my head to the officer several times and tightly held Lisa's hand as we headed home. On the way, Lisa spoke up in her innocent words, "Mom, I was sleepy. Grandma said I could nap, so I slept on a park bench. When I woke up, no one was there, and I cried." "I'm not mad, Lisa. I'm sorry," I said, my heart still racing with fear and relief. "I scared you." I couldn't help but hug Lisa, who was carefully reading my expression. When we got back to my in-laws' place, both Sandra and James sighed at the sight of Lisa. "So she's found, huh?" Frustrated, I yelled at James, "Do you even care what happens to your own child?" James wasn't ashamed. He fired back with something shocking. "I don't care what happens to her. She's ugly and not smart. She doesn't look like me at all. You probably had her with another man and are making me raise her, but that's not going to happen." Upon hearing this, Jacan also chimed in. "It would have been fine if she hadn't been found. Who knows where she came from?" "I've never cheated. Lisa is absolutely your child. Do you have any evidence of me cheating?" I protested, but all they did was mock me. From that point on, my daughter and I never went back to my in-laws' house, no matter how much James scolded us or how many sarcastic comments Jacan made over the phone. I endured it all to protect Lisa. Charles had noticed how poorly James and Sandra were treating us. "Grandma would get mad if I also stayed home. I'm okay going alone. You and Lisa don't have to worry," Charles said as he gently stroked Lisa's head. Although I felt guilty toward Charles, we stayed home. Charles is truly a kind-hearted child. Dealing with Sandra's mood swings must have been tough, but Charles managed it with his inherent brightness and charm. I've thought about divorcing many times, but without any qualifications and being just a housewife, I couldn't fathom supporting Charles and Lisa all by myself. So I had no choice but to endure. A decade had passed since Lisa and I effectively cut ties with my in-laws. Charles had become a working adult, and Lisa was about to start high school. She had a new backpack and textbooks and was looking forward to this new chapter in her life. James still treated Lisa poorly, but we had both decided to ignore him. As long as Charles and Mom are on my side, that's all that matters, Lisa would say, which always made my heart ache. Still, seeing Lisa excited about her new life made me happy too. But then disaster struck. James saw Lisa's new school supplies and went ballistic. "What is this? You're planning on going to high school? We've raised you this far, and you're not even our real child. Quit school and start working. Pay us back for all we've spent," James yelled, ripping up her textbooks and tearing her bag apart, hurling them into the muddy yard soaked from days of rain. "I'll make sure your mom hears about this," he said, dialing his in-laws. Jacine came over almost immediately, as if she had been waiting for this moment. "Who do you think you are, planning to go to high school on our dime? You should be thankful you even got to go to middle school. Get a job as soon as you graduate and give us all your earnings," Jacine declared. "Linda, you should be grateful we even took care of your affair child," she added, clearly enjoying herself. "You two are nothing but a bad influence on Charles. You're both worthless. Get out." So there we were, Lisa and I, picking up her thrown school supplies, listening to James and Sandra's harsh words. Both of us were drenched in the rain. Rain soaked our hair and droplets streamed down our faces to the ground. I couldn't tell if there were tears or rain anymore. With Charles already moved out, there was no one left to stand up to these two. Lisa and I looked at each other, and we both knew there was no reason left to stay in this house. After that, we packed a few essentials and left. James and Jacine agreed to the divorce without a fuss. With nowhere to go, we turned to Charles for help. He was shocked to see us covered in mud and rain, but quickly understood the situation and welcomed us into his home. Charles offered me a warm shower, a change of clothes, and a soothing drink. Feeling a bit more settled, we sat down to talk about what's next. "I got a call from Dad earlier. He says he's divorcing Mom, and we should never let them in the house again," Charles said. "He told me to quit my job and take over the family store. But I don't want any part of it. I can't stand him or Grandpa." Hearing this made my heart ache for Charles. I've always wondered how hard it's been for him, stuck between our family and his in-laws since childhood. I had put up with it for as long as Dad and Mom were married, and while Lisa was in that house, but that's not the case anymore, is it? Charles grinned mischievously. "How about changing schools, Lisa? I'm being transferred to another state. We can all move there and keep it a secret from Dad and Grandma." Upon hearing Charles's enthusiastic proposal, Lisa exclaimed, "I'm definitely in." I've always relied on Charles, so it made me feel guilty, but I decided to go along with it because it seemed like the best course of action. Everything fell into place smoothly after that. A few weeks later, we were settling into our new lives in a new place. What James and Jacine don't know is that Lisa is actually brilliant. She's always been good at tests. She just developed a little slower than others. She even aced the entrance exam to a top high school at our new location. Lisa and I both got new phone numbers, cutting off all contact with James and Jacine. Charles kept his line open just to keep tabs on them. He thought it would be best to have minimal communication to avoid being desperately searched for. 10 years have passed since then. Lisa is an adult now, and Charles has a decent job. We're all living secretly. Today is a rare occasion where we've all gathered for a family meal. I decided to dress up a bit as I waited for the two of them. Suddenly, I heard, "Is that you, Linda?" "Yes, it's Linda," I replied. It was James, now balding and bloated, and Jacine, her hair completely white and hunched over like a character from a storybook. "Where have you been for 10 years, Linda? We've been worried. Are you still mad about us claiming Lisa is a child of an affair? Come back." "We haven't seen Lisa in years. Where are my kids?" he ranted, saliva flying from his mouth. "Yes, come back. We're in terrible shape now," Jacine shrieked in her hoarse voice. Despite the dramatic reunion, I felt nothing. I observed them, oddly detached. Mom, what's going on?" I heard a voice behind me. I turned to see a sharply dressed young man and a lovely young woman in a cute dress pointing at James and Sandra. James and Sandra were speechless. Is that Charles and Crystal? The young man asked incredulously. Yes, but what are Dad and Grandma doing here? Charles responded curtly. Wow, you both look incredible. Lisa, you've turned into such a beauty I hardly recognized you, the young woman said warmly. I never imagined that little Lisa would grow up to be this stunning. I wish I'd been there to see it. Ignoring Charles's question, both James and Jacine shared their thoughts. You see, after Lisa moved away from James and Sandra, her life improved significantly. Whether it was the lack of stress or her active involvement in high school activities, she transformed. Her face slimmed down, and her eyes, once lost in baby fat, became more pronounced. Her hair, which was once unmanageably frizzy, gained a beautiful wave. Now, Lisa is so adorable that she could stand next to a celebrity and not be overshadowed. Well, since her older brother Charles is handsome, Lisa must have had the potential to be beautiful as well, Jacine added. Both Charles and Lisa are successful and employed by big corporations. They are the pride and joy of me, their mother. So the family is back together after 10 years. Let's go out for dinner. I don't have money on me, but you both can pay, right? After all, I raised you, James said, placing his hand on Lisa's shoulder. She promptly slapped it away. Don't touch me. It's creepy. I've always been told I was a result of my mother's affair. I have no father, and you didn't raise me. Who are you? Lisa, now wearing heels, towered over James. Enough is enough, Charles stated calmly. I won't forget what you did to Mom and Lisa. Today is the last day. We're in contact. Don't bother calling again, I said. James exploded with anger. How dare you speak to your parents like that? Lisa, come home and marry a local businessman's son. Charles, come back and save the family business. Linda, apologize and serve us for the rest of your life. James's temper flared like wildfire. We exchanged glances and burst into laughter. Why would we want your forgiveness? What made you think that? Lisa said, smiling. I'm actually getting married soon, so that businessman's son is out of the question. I'm starting my own business, so there's no way I can take over the family shop. What a shame it'll go under, she added, shaking her shoulders with laughter. James looked desperate. Linda, you'll come back, won't you? His needy gaze was repulsive. No, James, we're here, I replied, turning away with my children. Why would I return to that house? Who wants to be a housemaid there? Besides, I've remarried, so no, I can't go back. I flashed the shining ring on my left hand. What? You remarried without telling me? I won't accept this. James tried to snatch the ring off my finger, but before Charles could step in, another man came between us. Do you have business with my wife? No rough handling, please, Smith said, his presence imposing. James felt cornered. What's your deal? He retorted, trying to puff up his chest. I'm Linda's husband. As far as I know, you and Linda divorced a decade ago. I was the lawyer who facilitated the process. A lawyer? James seemed visibly shaken. That's right. I fell for Smith, the lawyer who helped me during my divorce, and we started dating. A few years later, we got married, I explained. James's face turned even redder. A lawyer, huh? Think you're something special because you make some money? Everyone, listen to me. Linda's my wife, and Charles and Lisa are my kids. You're in the way. With that, James charged at Smith like a raging bull, but Smith dodged smoothly. Unable to stop himself, James stumbled and rolled away, letting out a pathetic cry. Oh no! Jacine screamed in dismay. We all watched, holding our breath, wondering if James was all right. Lying on his back, James yelled, I'll forgive you all if you listen to me now. Though he didn't seem to be badly hurt, the fall did appear to shake him up quite a bit. What should we do now? I thought. Smith reassured me. I've called an ambulance. It'll be all right. Let them leave the rest to them. Lisa was fuming. You're too kind. You should have just left him. Even her angry face was adorable. Hey, our dinner reservation is soon. Let's get going, or we'll be late, Charles reminded us. Yes, today was a special family dinner day. With a reassuring embrace from Smith, we left. We could hear James and Sandra's verbal abuse behind us, but nothing scared us now. Months later, we heard that James's struggling business finally went under. Smith had gotten the news from a real estate contact. For 10 years after we left, James had kept things afloat, surprisingly. Now, James was blaming the fall for not being able to work, leaving Sandra to handle both the house and their situation. Hearing that they were struggling to pay off debts, I couldn't help but marvel at how karma works. What goes around comes around. On a sunny Sunday afternoon, I was trying on a dress for Lisa's wedding. "That looks great on you," I heard a voice say. I wonder which one I should wear. To think I'd see the day I'd attend as Lisa's father. It feels like a dream.